Madonna and back to post-truth. You know that we can do anything on computer-generated images. But when we say computer-generated images, there's still a human being that sits by a computer and creates these images. And these images are important and a bit dangerous because these images are not like the photographs that we are used to. Because when we developed all the theories around photography, we were always talking about a there and then. Photography as evidence. Photography as something that archives a moment that was actually lived. But when we talk about computer-generated imagery, we are actually talking about something that never existed and never will exist. Just like Madonna having an incredibly shiny skin here, or blue eyes, or Natalie Portman having a robotic eye. But still, these were computer-generated images, whereas this one is artificial intelligence generated image. And I promise you, because I also generated some, because the other day I was trying to design something for a client, and I just said a couple of keywords, and this is what the AI did for me. It didn't take 1 minute, I promise you. And I just gave a couple of keywords. So it means the end of my profession on one side. No? So I have to move forward, and I have to think about what makes my profession important in this context, in this sense now. Because this is, like, if I would sit down and draw and create all of these images, it would take me 3 days. So 1 minute is too much, I have to say. So there's also the financial side, monetary side to things. Because now we are talking about NFT and metaverse and collections and all of these things a lot. But once again, as I dubbed the meaning in all the communication on social media, I dubbed the value in the currencies that we are creating and consuming digitally. It's very difficult to convince me on the visual and aesthetic values of these Bored Ape NFT collections that you see on OpenSea, and that are still the best sellers after I don't know how many months. Actually says something new to the society, tries to attract attention to a certain point. And yes, it says this in a very deep and effective way most of the time. But in terms of communication, art is the slowest in communicating, no? Because we don't look at an artwork, a contemporary artwork, and we don't get the meaning or we don't get the idea immediately. But with design, the idea is that we should get the message more rapidly, especially if it is visual communication design. But visual communication design also has its different approaches and issues. One of them is our relationship with technology. We call this field interaction design. And interaction design is actually one of the fields that has defined the concept of users in its development. Because with interaction design, we realized that technology is developing at a very rapid pace, and us as human beings are not really capable of catching up with it immediately and naturally. So when you put a computer to someone that hasn't seen a computer, they don't just turn it on and start working with it. No? We have a learning curve with technology. So interaction design defined the field like about 25, 30 years ago, and it defined human beings as users, which is a very industrial term.